Wendy Doodle says God needs evil in order to appreciate the good. They, look, some characters and actors I think are good, and some I don't. Good character, good show, nice voice. Oh, well, isn't there a track? Trickster. I've done both. Tricky. Oh, you need to say that. Probably. Why do this so she's having fun? I just say that. Tom says he tortures and kills infants and children. That's Thomas Gardner. Gardiner. His mother's name is Adele Gardner, and she lives in Milwaukee. Adele, Adele Gardner. Gardiner. I guess. Both of them. Oh, come on. you need to, you need something. You need alcohol. You need. I don't know. You need something. You need pills or something. Well, he was odd. I mean, it took a. Tripped over it. Well, no, I couldn't watch it either. I just too much. You need. I don't know. No, you need Haldol plus blah 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 blah. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. Survivor with information like facts and stuff. I looked for accounts, like where are people collecting, where are people investigating this? Oh, you were raped by knives and 14 men and blah 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 blah. Okay, well tell me more about it. It's like, don't you want to do something about those things happening to children now? Well, I'm not an investigator. Well. I guess I'm unique because I was a survivor with information about my perpetrators. And one of them was involved in the magic bullet theory development, which is crap. 95% of Americans don't believe that Oswald killed Kennedy. What does that mean? Oh, T.S. Eliot. I'm gonna look up the prince of our disorder, who that was. It was a real person. Well, I I'm not sure. Uh, T. Lawrence. T. Lawrence. Never read it. I'd like to read it sometime. Blah blah blah. It's Rescue T. Lawrence. hmm I just never. It was way. Well, maybe not way, but it was a get around to sometime. Oh, the Prince of Arabia. No, I don't know. That's E. E. Cummings, the lowercase. And Ezra Pound was. Isn't Ezra Pound like near death like? Isn't Ezra Pound like Well, I think it's a guy. Oh, what's her name? Mary, whatever. She's got calendars and stuff. But isn't Ezra Pound one of them too? I think it's a man. I'm not sure. I get my classicals mixed up. Something about my left wrist and the hole where the nail was in. My left wrist really hurts. I woke up with it sore. I don't know. The first thing I asked is, did God surgery me? Because my wrist was bent some. Ah! But I also may have slept on my hand. So I don't know. Well, doctor, I forget his name, did surgery on my left wrist and put a, well, he said a pin, but it was a nail. Then, after I had the cast off, his assistant, wrapped my wrist in like netting gauze, but it's pretty wide netting gauze, netting something without putting a bandage underneath it. And I don't know if it was, whatever, cast. I had a cast, didn't I? No, it wasn't him. Anyway, his assistant was a woman. I think she was a physician's assistant. She wrapped it so that the nail wasn't, firmly embedded with gauze or wrap or bandage. Before she put some kind of netting over it, and the nail started to wiggle out. I was changing the wrap, and the nail started to wiggle out of the hole. So I went to the emergency room, and I said, well, isn't it because the doctor didn't, keep it firmly in place with a bandage or a wrap, like a real wrap, a gauze wrap? And He didn't say. Anyway, excuse me. It turned out my wrist was crooked. I don't know if you can tell from there. I can see it. This part sticks out some. But my hand works, and I can still write and draw if I want, stuff like that. Turns out it was a whole bunch of Satanists involved in a ritual that created the accident that broke my wrist. But God had helped me because I was shopping on Etsy, online, Etsy.com. And I was looking for something. I don't know, I came across a leather band with maybe a Celtic cross on it. Green leather. And I ordered it. It was like $30, $32. It was expensive to me. And, I don't know when it arrived. I wore it on my right wrist. I wore it on my right wrist, and my right wrist started to swell. So I put it on my left wrist. And that's the wrist they broke with this very large satanic ritual. But the bracelet was snug with a big snap. It was snapped. And it protected my hand, my wrist, from breaking further. I mean, it contained the break. And just as a last minute thing, after a session with Dr. Natalie Craw at the healthcare center, no, she's all beige goop. At the end of my session with Natalie Craw at the healthcare center, she was a psychiatrist there. She probably still is. I said, oh, by the way, I want to mention this bracelet I got, blah, blah, blah. And I told her about my right wrist swelling for some reason, because it had never swollen before that I know of. And I had to put it on my left wrist, that it contained the break. It was tight, and it was a strong snap on it. And there was a cross on it, Celtic cross. And I said, my angels were looking out for me or something. Because it would have been a worse break if it hadn't been for that bracelet. That's true. Oh, she reacted. She gave this little... I don't know how to explain it, but she reacted. It was this little... It's kind of like frustration, exasperation maybe. Just a little facial expression, but I noticed it. Well, I don't know. I just thought she was dumb to give him the... What do I care? What do I care? I don't care. Oh. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Let her go to heaven. I don't know, God. I read Pentimento. Julia the movie was a very good movie. I read Pentimento, which was a book of short stories by Lillian Hellman. Pentimento was one of the stories. Or it may have had a different... It was a chapter in the book. Like a section. And, I read her other stories. The other ones were even better than Pentimento. And it made a wonderful movie, Pentimento, called Julia. But, bam, bam, bam. Every one of her stories was really something. So, I tried to read her plays. I couldn't really read her plays. I appreciated the title, The Little Foxes. Catch the little foxes that are playing in the vineyards. I appreciated that. But the format the plays are written in, I can't enjoyably read them or get anything out of them. That's why I couldn't read Shakespeare. I tried to read the witches' toil, toil, boil, and trouble shit. But you can't stop the flow of reading by saying, change background, enter furniture on set. It just doesn't, you don't get a whole thing, a whole whatever. No, I was interested in that one, the witchy one. Somehow that was the one I always tried to read. I don't know, it was the first story in a book or something. The witches, I don't know. I never knew the story of Hamlet until Mel Gibson made his book. Made his movie, Hamlet. And then I knew the story. It was a really good story. It was a great story. But then it got replaced by Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, which was just some weird thing. I don't know. And then you never saw Mel Gibson's Hamlet on TV anymore. That happened with other movies, too, where the original one was replaced. I can't think of any right now. Replaced by something crappier, where it should never have been a remake. Or well, that'd be swell. Mel Gibson starred in Braveheart, produced it. I don't know if he was one of the producers. He had a lot of money. And directed it. It was a wonderful movie. What's the point? What do you... I just didn't pay attention. You were drunk or something? You were verbally abusive? Yes, I do. I'm Mark's a shitbag asshole. Whatever. Well, where'd you get the good movies? Hamlet was spectacular. Well, so what? Right, right. He was shorter than her. I see. Mel did The Passion of Christ, too. And I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was way more realistic than the Bible story and all that crap. I didn't think children should see it. You don't want children to know that Jesus Christ, who they're supposed to look up to and pray to and stuff, was bludgeoned until his ribs and flesh were open and stuff. Which I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Get it done, get it done. I can't say for sure. God is saying that when they bludgeoned the Christ character's rib, it was the left side. And they used, I don't know what they used, but they opened the flesh, and his ribs were exposed, and he was just really badly injured. They never represented that in, traditional stories, and I don't recall them going to the extent of it in the Bible or anything. But the trailers or whatever, the stories say that Mel researched it, and the Passion of Christ was a more realistic account of what happened to Jesus. And when Mark, my brother, full half or not brother, he was part of the family bot paradigm. I never met him. He died in 1954. But he emerged from my left rib cage. So God is saying Mel Gibson did the left rib cage in that bludgeon scene, when Christ was carrying the cross and stumbled, and they bludgeoned him and opened his flesh in his left rib cage. I don't know. No, he was very handsome. And yeah, I wanted to... wait a minute. I just didn't pay attention. I don't know. He was drunken and verbally abusive. I thought the hookers betrayed him. I thought he might be surprised. Like, hey, paid you a lot of money. Keep your mouth shut, bitch. Or woman. What's wrong with buying hookers? When Robert De Niro was busted for employing hookers in Europe, I think. One or more of them ratted on him, he hired me and all that. I thought, so what? What's wrong with hiring hookers? Well, I don't know. Taxi driver was a little mysterious to me. Your character was a little mysterious to me. Kafka-esque. Nothing I want to know. No. I don't know if Mel kept his soul or not. How do I know? I don't think you can look at a person and know if they're a Satanist. I mean, I thought Donna looked evil in the photograph I had of her. I don't know what he said. Oh, I want to suck him off. Can't do it. There it is. Well, Jesus, I mean... Yes. All our resources will go to destroying Satanists. We're still trying to break their spirits. They won't stop attacking me. They need to be broken. Who can withstand this when the spirit is broken? We need to break their spirits. They still jump around and attack me and criticize me and judge me for my moral failings and stuff. Johnson and Johnson in the news.
Russia's new financial penalties are retaliation for Russian cyber attacks that breached several government agencies, as well as the Kremlin's interference in the U.S. election. Similar punitive measures by the U.S. in the past have failed to stop Russian aggression.
CIA Director William Burns has delivered a sobering message to Congress just as President Biden announces plans to withdraw troops from Afghanistan by September 11th. Burns told lawmakers once the troops leave, our ability to collect intelligence in Afghanistan and act on threats will diminish. But the president says it's time to end our longest
The Native
war.
peoples are hardy.
Delivered justice to Bin Laden a decade ago, and we've stayed in Afghanistan for a decade since. Since then, our reasons for remaining in Afghanistan have become increasingly unclear.
All I know about Afghanistan is they grow
Secretary
poppies,
Lloyd defended by
which
the
is
decision, saying
what
the
you
US
make
will
heroin
continue
with.
supporting the Afghan security forces by
A
paying
poppy
their
is a
salaries
flower.
and offering humanitarian aid.
You can test positive for opiates if you eat
More hail and heavy rain along
the buns with
Gulf
the
Coast
poppy
today.
seeds on,
This is
little
the city
black
of
seeds.
Southern Louisiana, where thunderstorms today could produce flash flooding. Someone got a little too close to this lightning strike in Louisiana Bayou country, and more lightning is on the way. Elsewhere, rain and snow, some snow today in parts of the Northeast, and another foot of snow is possible in the Rockies. Checking today's high temperatures, 42 in Denver, mild in the Pacific Northwest, below normal readings for the Midwest and New England, 74 Albuquerque. Coming up, the new debate over whether airlines should leave middle seats empty due to COVID concerns.
But first, an Army sergeant under arrest accused of assaulting a black man walking through this neighborhood. What we're learning about the confrontation and protests at the sergeant's home.
And later, why more couples are deciding to sleep in separate beds.
Oh, you're pushing me to. She did something for children. We're talking about Hillary Clinton. She was an attorney out of Yale, and she worked for the government. I think the first thing she did was something about legislation to help children, and I don't remember, to create it, or, write it, or research it, or something. And I don't remember if what she did was produced a law in behalf of children. And then she was a junior something on Watergate, maybe junior counselor, or I think it was more than researcher. So she had to do with Watergate as prosecution. And she tried to revamp our medical system to bring something very close, I think, to universal health care. When Bill was president, she was appointed as a leader of a task force or something to come up with a medical coverage plan for the nation. A lot of people think, medical coverage is a right, not just a privilege. But she worked really hard, a couple of years, 3 years maybe, and it all got busted. It didn't go through. I don't remember. Well, this is what? How would I know? Carla Pick's been selling anti-Hillary really hard. I guess in her life with the Mossad. Well, she was a hardworking Secretary of State, was my understanding, and Henry Kissinger said she's the best Secretary of State we've ever had. And I believed him, and I believe Henry Kissinger is an evil man, but, he could have made an accurate assessment about Hillary. He had been a Secretary of State. I don't know, I thought that was true too, but I thought that as Secretary of State, he could recognize, good, organized, broad view, not long view, but I don't know, you have to know about so many things to be Secretary of State or President, or you just have to know about so many things. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I didn't understand how during the last years of the Clinton presidency, he could have focused and gotten anything done. I mean, everything on television was Monica Lewinsky and, this and that, and, everything. I don't know how he got anything done. I can't listen to myself be criticized. It's very hard for me. Because, I know what my intentions are and have been in my life. And they're good. And, I just don't tolerate being criticized. If somebody's gonna criticize me or slander me, I just don't want to have anything to do with them. Because it's my own private thing. I mean, you're allowed to choose who are your friends, in your life. That's all. Anyway, I didn't understand during Hillary's, candidacy leading up to and during the 2016 election, how God, I'd go hide somewhere if if people were criticizing me publicly like that. I mean, it was terrible. I could never. Presidents used to make $200,000. They probably make closer to $500,000 now. But that's not that money. Well, there's there's status to the position of presidency, and there's power and all that kind of stuff, but nothing is worth listening to yourself be slandered like that. So either the Clintons didn't have a TV, or I don't know, but when I read the book I, Bill Clinton, I think that was the title of it, even during the Monica Lewinsky thing, he said several times in this book, I loved every day of being president. And he didn't, he didn't want to give it up, but the limit is 8 years. And, he just loved being president. I mean, he got stuff done during the Monica Lewinsky years, which were 2 years, I think. I just couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine being able to concentrate and get anything done with all that going on. And they were clean on Whitewater. They were investigated up the butt. And they were clean. Nobody found anything. So that says a lot. I guess Hillary Clinton is quite an enemy of the Mossad, too. Well, that's true. She came out in favor of Palestine getting statehood. I think that's what you call it. Statehood. Becoming a state. Whatever. So I guess Carla Pig for the Mossad, Hillary Clinton would be a big enemy because of that. Vanessa Redgrave also spoke out in favor, I don't know about statehood, of Palestinians. And I did a project in my graphics arts class at University of Miami. teacher was Peter Zorn, Z-O-R-N, and he was kind of famous in advertising, I guess. Anyway, we had to... That's possible. No? I don't think so. We had to do an assignment like you either draw something with dots. I don't know, it was just some kind of graphic arts assignment. And I chose the picture of the photograph of Vanessa Redgrave on the cover of one of the big national magazines. And I did her in dots. And he was like offended or taken aback or something. She spoke in favor of Palestine. I didn't know anything about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or anything, but she was politically offensive to Peter Zorn. So he didn't like that project. He didn't like anything I did. You know, he criticized me for putting a border around a pencil drawing. Because, you know, the pencil drawing was very plain, so I put a border around it. And he pointed it out to this little small class. It was completely unnecessary and blah, blah, blah. But, well, and Jane Fonda, I was a fan. I mean, The Doll Maker was just the most wonderful movie. It was just wonderful. I'm trying to think. Well, you know, you'd read about people making it, like gaining stardom or whatever in the early 80s, and I wondered, you know, that was a horrible time. I think it was a horrible time for regular people, you know, because there was a war on, you know, anyone who was poor, anyone who was labeled as mentally ill. I mean, it was a war on, I don't know. Anyway, I would always read about, you know, so-and-so had success in 83 or, you know, got discovered in 82 or something like that. And I always noticed, because those were the Reagan years, very fucking bad for me. I mean, very fucking bad. And I read that Jane Fonda had like a huge crisis or something in 81 or something. I thought, wow, that's the first account I've read of someone who was like oppressed in 1981 like me. I don't know what to say. I believe I have heard of them. So, Satanists have been shoving up my ass everyone's a bad guy. But it also happens to be every movie I liked and stuff like that. Satanists don't know the paradigm. You know. I haven't had time to think. You know, I need to think things through. I honestly can't tell who has a good soul and who has a bad from any external observation. Donna Jean Vockmer-Landsberg looks evil to me, especially in one photo that we had taken for St. John Newman's Catholic Church. It was Donna, Harry, and me, about 83, and I just think she looks very evil, you know. Okay, so, let's see, where are we? I'm gonna upload this. Let me see if I have anything. T. Lawrence. Oh, here we go. I loved the Pippi Longstocking books when I was a little girl. beats me. I just loved him. I don't see the point. I mean, a lot. That's true, a lot. I love those books. They were really nice. They were really wonderful. I was disappointed. It's like, wait, that's not Laura. Well, she was. She could have been. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know she was vulnerable or felt vulnerable. I'm gonna stop recording and start recording again.